Being that the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view is right around the corner, I wanted to take this time to kickstart a new ranking series where I look back at every Elimination Chamber match and see where they place on the list of best Elimination Chamber matches. So let's begin.
Recent history has seen many changes, and as the architect of this revolution, I consider myself to be the primary catalyst in creating a product vastly different from that of my opposition. Evolution is a necessary process not only manifesting itself in nature, but a phenomenon occurring rapidly in world wrestling entertainment. Tonight, the most ingenious creation in this evolution will come to fruition: the Elimination Chamber. Six men will enter the structure to fight for their survival, engaging in a battle of the unknown, placing their bodies, their futures, and their lives on the line, all for an opportunity to secure the symbol of this evolution: the World Heavyweight Championship.
And now, Raw and SmackDown present WWE Survivor Series.
Survivor Series 2002 came to us from Madison Square Garden with an attendance of a little under 18,000. It had two different posters. One with the 6 participants from the Elimination Chamber, and this. The Rob Van Dam doing the split-legged moonsault poster, which I remember as a kid buying with a VHS tape back in early 2003. I was 11 at the time, and after renting the tapes for a while, and yes, I did say tapes, plural, because pay-per-views used to come in a 2 VHS box set where I'm at, with a nice cover art. Usually it's the same poster on both sides. It was a nice thing to collect when I was younger. This was the first pay-per-view since 1998 that didn't have the traditional Survivor Series elimination match in it. Honestly, it didn't need one due to the chamber itself being a gimmick, combining both War Games and the Royal Rumble, as Eric Bischoff liked to coin back in 2002. 2002 was the beginning of the Ruthless Aggression era, one of the best times to be a wrestling fan. This was when WWE was at its most creative. Sure, there were a lot of misses, but it was when they took chances. And it's understandable when they were pretty much the only wrestling company left standing. The Elimination Chamber was actually pitched by Triple H. It's no secret that he was always a diehard fan of old school wrestling from the 70s and 80s, and was always a fan of War Games. After being declined many times trying to bring back the War Games match, he pitched the idea to Vince, who okayed it, and the rest is history.
The Elimination Chamber is going to look like a steel hell. I've been in the construction business my whole life, and I haven't seen anything like this.
An ingenious creation from the mind of Eric Bischoff.
The whole thing's made out of structural grade steel. There is no give, there is no flex, there is no getting out. 36-foot diameter, exactly 2 miles of chain. It's 16 feet, the roof to the floor. Total weight, 10 tons.
Hell.
The structure was absolutely barbaric. It's a match that I never got comfortable watching, and now since it's been close to a decade since we last saw the original concept, it feels even more unsettling. The bumps the wrestlers took on it, it's absolutely heart-wrenching. Especially when you realize Shawn Michaels is competing in his second match ever after a 4-year absence due to an almost life-altering injury. After watching the match, I realized 2 things. Shawn Michaels looks horrible with the poop pants and soccer mom hair, which is, by the way, they fixed in the WWE 2K15 showcase mode. Look, he has the long hair and the classic red heart pants. Okay. Couldn't he get his old school tights? I'm sure he could have gotten them from the WWE warehouse or somewhere. And the next night, it was even worse, where he had tights that made him look like a rookie in the indies. Shawn just doesn't seem to catch a break in MSG. Because even when he wins, he loses. In storyline, the match was made to counteract SmackDown's amazing Hell in a Cell match from the critically acclaimed No Mercy pay-per-view a month prior, where SmackDown overshadowed Raw with the two Match of the Year candidates. Triple H has been running roughshod on the roster as World Heavyweight Champion. Van Dam, Booker T, Katie Vick, until Shawn Michaels came back from injury in a great moment to accept Bischoff's invitation to participate in the new match concept. No qualifying matches, just handpicked. Missed opportunity, but whatever. It's a stack lineup either way, though I always found it weird that the heel and face dynamic was uneven. You had 2 heels and 4 baby faces. Now, the way the match was produced was genius, because we never at any point had a long period of heat, which is why the match flew by like a fun action film. You had the technicians in Triple H and Jericho, the cruiserweight style of Van Dam and Shawn Michaels, Booker T was a brawler, and Katie Vick. The match begins hot with Van Dam and Triple H, which you would think is backwards nowadays because a top heel should be saved for last, and you can have the top babyface earn his way to get his hands on the heel. But this was a time where the producers would make magic with what they were given. Rest in peace, Pat Patterson. A few minutes into the match, and right away, they're doing a lot of spots that you'd save either later in the match or in a future sequel. RVD is jumping everywhere, doing a rolling thunder to the outside, and before even the first pod opens, Triple H is busted. Looking back, it does seem weird that Rob would flip Jericho off and then go up his pod. I guess he didn't notice the chains in the ceiling, which allowed Jericho to pull Rob's leg. It's a cool visual, though. Jericho enters the match. A really fun spot with RVD being tossed into the chamber wall. He sticks like Spider-Man, as Lawler commented on, and jumps back with a crossbody. Fans popped for that. Booker T's out next. Runs wild. Elimination size, spin-a-rooney. Then gets face-to-face with his future tag team partner, Rob Van Dam, who has a run with the Raw tag titles later on in their careers. They start fighting. Booker T gets the best of him. Booker then hits the scissors kick on Triple H. Jericho and Booker spill to the outside of the ring, and then the spot that screwed everything up. RVD hits the 5-star frog splash from the top of a pod and lands awkwardly, knees first, to Triple H. You can see Triple H was protecting his sternum, and as he comes up, Van Dam's knees hits Hunter in the throat. Triple H, who was given the task to be the ring general of this match, which is why he came in first, is unable to call for spots throughout the match, which brings me to the second thing I realized watching this match again. Triple H is not only one of the best ever, he's probably the toughest wrestler ever. This is one of the many instances where he suffered a major injury and still finished the match. In this case, he could have actually died in the ring. Even with having a crushed throat, he went for 25 more minutes of action, rarely sitting out. I commend his resilience and spirit, but goes to show how careless WWE was at the time for not having medical personnel check in on him. In hindsight, it all worked out, but at that point, someone should have called an audible and got Triple H out of there, because after this match, he ended up spending the night in a hospital. After the horrific spot, things kind of went up in the air, and a wonky elimination occurred that I don't think was planned, because RVD ended up being the first to be eliminated by, of all things, a missile dropkick from Booker T, which the fans booed heavily. It's fair to think, if you're a WCW fan, that it kind of makes sense since it used to be Booker T's finish back in WCW, but that was in 1998. It's like if Shawn Michaels won a match at this time with a teardrop suplex. Booker crawls to Triple H, and another weird thing happens. Think of how ridiculous this sounds. An asylum of torture, where the toughest thrive and survive. Men are beaten and bruised. Anything goes, yet there are rope breaks? Now, I'm sure it was instinct by Triple H because he couldn't kick out, which is why communication is key. No one is at fault, but still, I think Earl should have counted Hunter out, who again at that point was in no condition to continue. At this point, Jericho takes over as the general, being that he's the most experienced. Sure, Booker might have debuted before Jericho, but Jericho has been a name longer and traveled further. So he was much more dependable. And the WWE way is the heel always is the one that leads. Katie Vick enters next. And apparently this was supposed to be Shawn's spot. Credit to the Big Red Machine for not standing there like a deer in headlights, waiting for someone to tell him to walk out. He just treated it like a shoot and shot out. This wasn't the giant monster from a year ago. He slimmed down majorly since his return in August. With the goofy mask, I still prefer the old mask. Heck, even the fruit roll-up is better than this weird look. And don't even get me started with his outfit. Why does he need so many belts on his legs? Who even wears belts on their leg? Easily the worst Kane look. Kane runs wild, throws Jericho through a pod, breaking the glass in an awesome spot. Fans react big to it. Again, another spot that felt like it wasn't built enough to happen. It's like the window of innovation is closing for future installments in the lineage of the Elimination Chamber match. In many ways, the spots make it feel quite modern for today's standards due to its car crash production. Kane chokeslams Booker T. Jericho, who's gushing blood, runs in and hits a line salt as Kane is battling Triple H on the outside. Y2J eliminates T. Jericho takes another great bump from Kane. As he's scaling the wall, Kane presses him into the ring and then throws Triple H off the turnbuckle. The game continues to grab his throat, trying to make it through. It's been about 10 minutes since the botch, and the cerebral assassin continues to soldier on. Shawn Michaels is finally in. He gets a flurry on going before Kane cuts him off, choke slams everyone, but doesn't go for the pin. Damn it, Katie Vick. He had to get cocky for a tombstone, gets super kicked by Shawn, sits up immediately after, then eats a pedigree with his stupid ass Kane bump with the knee, and a lion salt to be eliminated. Y2J and Triple H double team HBK. Jericho does the stupid shuffle that I used to spam for finishers back in 2004. Shawn is able to fight back for a bit, however is intercepted by Jericho, who hits a lion salt for a dramatic two count. Shawn is able to then hit a moonsault on a standing Jericho, haven't done that in many, many years, for a close two. He puts Jericho in the walls of Jericho. Triple H kicks Shawn in the midsection. Shawn, for some reason, can never sell a kick to the gut, but he did take a good snug DDT by Triple H. Jericho goes for the pin, but Triple H pulls Jericho off. It's an elimination match. Why does Triple H want to be the one to eliminate Shawn? That was never established. It was always by any means necessary during his reign. Jericho and Triple H argue. Jericho is like, kick his ass, but I don't know what's going on. He's trying to cover up a communication spot, but it's like, kick his ass. I don't know.
And this is not smart.
Then Jericho puts Triple H in the walls. Shawn hits the Sweet Chin music on Jericho, and now we are down to 2. The war continues. They war for a minute before Triple H throws Shawn through a pod. Shawn sells it like death. Triple H throws Shawn into the ring, gets a 2 count. The fight continues. The game seems like he's getting a second wind. The final minute is what elevates this match from a great match to a classic. Shawn hits an elbow from the top of a pod. Looks like he landed on Triple H's arm. The Heartbreak Kid tunes up the band, gets countered into a pedigree. After a slow crawl, Triple H goes for the cover. Shawn kicks out. Triple H goes for another pedigree. Shawn backdrops Triple H. He hits the Sweet Chin music. The fans erupt, and they count along the 3 count. And the fans pop huge. Confetti fills the arena. An amazing moment for Shawn Michaels holding the big gold belt his idol Nature Boy Ric Flair once held proudly. This is one of the greatest matches ever, and one of the greatest moments ever. Too bad Shawn looks as bad as he probably felt at the end of the night. Those damn poop-colored tights. My overall rating for this match is 5 stars, and right now it's on top. Let's see if this changes on my next Elimination Chamber match review.
Booker, you were in the Elimination Chamber tonight. First time ever, the debut of it here at Survivor Series, sold out Madison Square Garden. First of all, what was it like just standing in it? And what kind of mechanism is this thing?
Before everything started tonight, before we got the match started, I went out earlier and just to look at it, it was real intimidating as far as all the steel. We're used to wrestling inside of a wrestling ring. We're used to getting hit with a steel chair. We used to, falling on the tables and whatnot. But to have steel grate, all around the ring, and steel rope for windows, one should say, it was totally different experience for me because I am a mat wrestler. I usually do everything in the middle of the ring, and elbows and knees are hurting a whole lot more than normally. My back's a little stiff, but it was a once-in-a-lifetime experience, hopefully.
What was it like waiting for your turn to come out, standing inside the bulletproof glass, and then when it raises, what is that like? Explain the emotion to everybody.
Well, I was just hyped up. I was ready to go. I just wanted to get in the ring, so I could, break the ice, get my second win, get in there, take a few punches, and I was just anxious, everybody on my side as far as all the fans, they was really excited and wanted me to get in that ring, they was going crazy the whole time I was standing there, so it was like, it's kind of like being at the starting line, waiting on the green light, it's wild.
There was talk about how hard the steel is. It's 10 tons of steel, 2 miles of chain, and explaining what it's like to hit that.
Oh, man, it's really something, the fans, they really can't, really get a sense of what it feels like in there. But just to let them know, guys like RVD, he put it on the line tonight. He went onto the steel grate, he turned flips onto it. I give him big ups, even though we had our little battle in there, we've had our wars before, but I got much respect for him for going out there and really putting it on the line and giving those fans what they want to see, but that steel out there, it's unforgiving, totally.
Rob, you were in the Elimination Chamber tonight here, Madison Square Garden, all the lights on you and everything. First of all, describe what was it like to start off. You were one of the 6 guys that started off inside the ring at the beginning. You didn't have a chance to be in one of those internal chambers, but what was the Elimination Chamber like?
Felt a lot different than the start of a normal match because of the way I was surrounded by the dome of the cage, and it felt even more so like all eyes were on me. Like every time, you start out a match like that, everyone's looking at you. going to kick off the action. But this time, it's like first time ever in this kind of a match, and here I am, and I'm going to give it to them. Whatever it is that I give them and my opponent gives them, I mean, that's what it is. It's the first time ever, so everybody was really watching, and that's what it felt like to me. It felt like I was really, really under the limelight, right there.
Is it claustrophobic at all? You know what I mean? Being surrounded like that?
It's not claustrophobic, but it definitely does separate us from the fans, because normally I can feel out to the fans and feel their energy, and I look around, I see all the RVD signs, and I use that positive energy, and I reach out for it. And this time, it felt more like I had to look out and look through a window and see who was on the other side of it. It felt like there was definitely a barrier in between, so it allowed me to focus more, actually, on the match.
Have you ever been up as high as you were when you climbed to the top of that chamber and leaped off with the frog splash? What was that like?
Well, it was a little higher than I thought. I actually overshot my jump a couple feet, which I wasn't expecting. I thought everything was cool, and when I jumped, my legs sprung me out a little bit, and when I came down, I crushed Triple H. And, he's out there right now in the ring still, but I don't know. I think I might have made him spit up some blood or something, and there was a lot of momentum coming down, as I knew it would be. But I wouldn't say it felt like I hit it perfect like I wanted to. But I got a holy shit chant from the audience, and that's always something to go for.
Rob, Booker T, when I was talking to him about the match tonight, he was saying, props to Rob Van Dam for taking those spills on that hard steel, which you did, the graded steel. How did that feel on your back?
It felt just like it looked, pretty brutal. And I'll show signs of it for the next couple weeks probably. My thumbs and fingers will turn blue and purple, and I can show you a couple of bruises already, or scrapes that are going to be bruises, and ooh, that was tough. That was tough. Not too tough, of course. Nothing I couldn't handle, but yeah, that felt a lot like it looked.